Back with another one, and in the previous episode, I was working on operations, which is your relational operations to be specific. And in this episode, I'm going to show you how to use your selection structures, which is your selection control structures. And in this case, I'm going to get to it without wasting time. All right, so now your selection control structures, they work like this, is that if you want to write a code that has to do multiple operations and different operations, you can give them a condition that when the condition is like this and the condition is met, do this block of code, else you can do um, this if the second condition meets, or you can have a default condition, which means whenever both of them haven't been met. So let me give you different control selection control structures. Let us start with the if statement. So the basic one is your basic if statement. So let me just declare something here. Let me say num1 is assigned to a 10 again. And I'm just going to say num2 is assigned to a 20. So in this case, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to say if num1 is less than num2. Remember in the previous episode, which is episode number 11, we're showing this, I was showing how to use your relational operations. If you want to learn more about your relational operations and different relational operations that you can use, just go back to the previous video and you will be sorted before you can watch this video if they become a problem. So now, in this case, I'm going to say if num1 is less than num2, then I want to output the statement that I want to output. I want to say that the first number, which is num1, is less than the second number, which is num2. So if this case is met, and in this case you can see a 10 is less than a 20, then this will be, so this will then be a true or a false. And then if it results in a true, it will go inside the body. And if this results into a false, it is not going to go into your body. So in this case, it's going to say this is a true. Why? Because 10 is actually less than a 20. Then it's going to go inside this body and then it's going to display that message, which is actually true. So in this case, let's just clean and build first before we run so that we not run the previous run code. And then now you can see the first number, which is 10, is less than the number, which is 24. So the second one that I want to introduce you to, I want to introduce you to an else statement. So an else, it means that if the if statement isn't being held, the else is going to be an alternative. So in this case, we're going to say that the first number which is num1 is not less than num2 is not, this is what I'm trying to do, is not greater than num1 here. Okay, let me first change here. What I want to do is that I want to show you when this is going to result to be a false. So now I want to check if num1 is greater than num2. then it should output the statement. It must say that the first number, which is number 1, is greater than the second number here, is not greater than the second number. Yes, so this should be correct. Second number, which is your num2. And then you'll see here, if I do that, we need to first check this condition. Is 10 greater than 20? No, it's not. It's a false, meaning that it will ignore whatever is inside this bracket. It will automatically go to the else, and then it's going to display the else. And which the else statement, which is correct, is this one. That is the one that is supposed to be displayed. So it must say that 10 is not greater than 20. So in this case, when we run this, you can see it says the first number, 10, is not greater than the second number, 20, which is true. So this is the second selection control structure that you can use, which is called if and else. So other than this one, there is an if, else if statement. So now, in this case, we want to say if num1 is greater than num2, then we must say that num1 is greater than num2. And then the second thing we want, if num1 is less than num2, then it must say that the first number, which is num1, it's not greater than num. Okay, so yeah, we're checking the first condition, and we are checking the second condition, which is the less than 1. And then this should be able to check two conditions. It's going to first check the first condition, which is num1 is greater than num2, and it must say that the first number is greater than the second number. And if it's like this, it must say that the first number is not greater than the second number. Okay, but let us not say greater, let's just say less, yeah, so that it actually makes more sense. So you can use this, which is called an if-else if statement. In this case, there is no default condition. We are not going to give it any default condition, because if it's not greater than, if it's not more than, it's not less than, we cannot say that it's equals to. So in this case, let's just clean build, and then we'll be able to run this. This should be able to pick up one of them. So now you can see that the one that was met is that the first number 10 is less than the number which is 20, which is true. So now else if you use it, if you are having more than one condition to test. So in this case, the first condition that we had to test is that num1 is greater than num2. And the second condition that we had to test is that num1 is less than num2. And so that is how you use if else if. So there is a condition where you might want to use if else if and else, which else is going to be your default. And then in your default, maybe I can say that the number is neither. Okay, let's just say the first number is neither greater than, I need to put this under the quotation, or less than the second number. There we go. And then in this case, I'm going to make num1 and num2 to both be a 10 so that it can hold the else. So in this case, we're going to check, is num1 greater than num2? No, it's not greater than. Is num2 greater than that? No, it's not that. And then it should be able to show us that it's neither greater than or less than both the number. Like num1 is neither greater than or less than num2. So as you can see here, yes, the first number is neither greater than or less than the third number. So that is basically how you write your if else, and also your if else if statement. And in the programs that we're going to write in the future, you will see that we're going to expand on the information, and we are going to show in a bigger picture, that, or what is it exactly that we are talking about. So now in this case, I want to show you how to use a case. So now I'm gonna keep only one. I'm gonna keep num1 and let's change it to num. So in this case, I'm gonna say if num is equivalent to the number 10, do that. If num is equivalent to the number 20, do that, or else it must just, okay, if num is equivalent to the number 10, let's say system that out the print line, we can see the number is a 10. Let's remove this. So the number is a 20. So I'm going to show you how you can also convert this into a switch case. The number is a 30. So there's a shortcut which is built in your compiler, which knows that if once you write an if, you write an else if, and if and an else if and an else, automatically it can convert this into a switch case. So the relation between a switch case and if statement is that in if, else if, and an else where you are using an equal, where you're comparing, can then be equated to a switch case, meaning that you can convert this whole structure into a switch case. So how you do it, you come here, you click here, you'll see this will pop up, and then you'll say convert ifs to switch case. And then you do that automatically, it's going to switch it up and write it in switch case. So this is how a switch case work. So a switch, you will then switch, you check the variable that you're checking, which is num. Then inside this brackets, you need to put case number. You write the case which it must be equivalent to. You'll write the 10 here, and then you put a colon. Then you write your statement. You break the first case. Then you write case number 2 when it's equivalent to a 20. You write whatever you want to output or display or input, anything that you want to do, and then you break, and then there is the default. This is the else part. So this is where you are converting from an if statement to a switch case. So this should be able to show you the number 10. But bear in mind, it should only work for when you are checking if it's equivalent to a number, and it must have an if and else if sufficiently, or it must have a else statement. So if you do not have your else statement, it's not going to give you a default. And as you can see, it's going to say that the number is a 10. So that is how you convert from an if statement to a switch case. But this is what I know. When you are using NetBeans, like I'm using NetBeans, you can quickly convert from your if statements to your switch case. So going back to the if statements that we had, here is an if statement, and here is a switch case side. If statement, switch case. That's how they are related. If statement and your switch case. And that is it from me for this episode. And when we're going forward, we're going to be using a lot of the selection control structures, and they're going to come in handy. Until the next episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment below, as your comments help us to come up with ideas, and they help us to grow this channel. And until the next one, that is it from me. Cheers and goodbye.